Hello, I'm Golden Freezcan, and this is Super Granny, The Road So Far. It started out in the spring of 2003. Well, actually, the first film was released in 2011, but either way, let's get started. Super Granny 1. So it starts off with a woman being murdered, obviously leading to a ghost returning from the great beyond in order to kill a bunch of doctors. Super Granny starts investigating after her twin sister Annie finds one of the bodies.
Are you alright?
The ghost continues killing doctors and leaving hats at the scene. They were running out of doctors in this town.
We're running out of doctors in this town.
So then the ghost tracks down her killer, kills him, and gets her throat slit by a banana. Because apparently bananas kill ghosts. Super Granny 2. So then a dude gets murdered by an insane person. Naturally, his ghost comes back to kill them too. Also, he then kills a homeless princess and a ballerina stripper. Annie then finds another body and is driven to insanity. Quincy joins the crew as Super Granny's faceless co-worker, and Super Granny discovers that dead people have money. So she steals it and blames it on the killers. She was getting rich doing this.
I'm getting rich doing this.
Then she finds a ghost and caps that fool. The end. Not really. There's like 8 more of these and then the series. You're gonna be here a while. Super Granny 3. A guy comes in and tries to kill another guy. Turns out that other dude had more lives than a cat and kills his attacker. George joins the crew as Super Granny's wacky assistant.
Scared the out of me!
George eats some evidence and Super Granny steals the wallet he finds at the scene. Super Granny then becomes a pimp and leaves for vacation.
I'm going on vacation.
While on her way to the airport, she comes across a charity worker who was murdered by this same bad guy. And then she takes all the charity money. She then tracks down the killer and smacks a fool, which apparently kills him. Super Granny 4. So now Super Granny has been driven into insanity, so she's being taken to an insane asylum. Then she gets caught in a temporal loop after killing a doctor repeatedly. Wait a minute, I thought Super Granny was the good guy. Anyway, she goes through a series of trick doors and eventually escapes after killing Dr. Jordan and hiding his body in the closet. She then reveals her secret that she steals money from the dead bodies to her driver and pretends to shoot him. He was never seen again. Seriously though, when did Super Granny become a serial killer? The Monster Under the Bed Hotel 5. Super Granny crossover. Super Granny then visits the Monster Under the Bed Hotel in order to investigate the recent murders. George tampers with some evidence and they investigate some more, then bring the evidence to an expert named Adam.
An expert at everything.
Eventually, they discover the monsters hate Mardi Gras and stop the attacks. Also, Super Granny says she's going to get a new assistant.
I'm going to have to get a new assistant.
Super Granny 5. A dude gets killed by a reference, and Super Granny investigates with our new assistant, Jack. Super Granny becomes discouraged and thinks they will never solve the case.
We'll never
This
solve
will not be a mystery.
Jack reassures her and helps her find the evidence. Not sure why, though, considering he turns out to be the killer.
It's Jax! Somebody get him!
Anyway, he ends up slipping in a puddle of water and dying.
Oh, he ended up killing himself. He ran through a puddle of water.
Super Granny tells Quincy, and he sends George back.
Oh, no.
George returns, steals evidence, and accuses Super Granny of stealing money.
I saw you steal money. This is nothing.
I didn't steal any money. What's the matter with you?
Super Granny 6. This time, an accountant gets murdered. Super Granny steals his credit cards but can't use them.
Then declined.
So she gives them to the chief, who uses them successfully. Another murder happens, and while Super Granny is talking to Adam, the killer farts himself to death. Wait, what? What? He farts himself to death? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Anyway, the chief goes to prison for using stolen credit cards, and George becomes the new chief.
Wait! What? George, where the have you been?
I'm the new police chief.
You're the new police chief? You?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
The old one got thrown in jail.
Super Granny 7. Super Granny shows up to the scene of the crime and meets a new detective named Danny Daniels. Danny then calls Chief George and says he thinks that Super Granny's stealing money from the crime scenes.
I think Super Granny might be taking money.
What?
Next, the dude gets killed by a Super Granny lookalike, and everyone continues investigating. While Danny is discussing the case with Sam the Lamb, the lookalike shows up and shoots Sam. Adam saves Sam's life, and Danny arrests Super Granny, who realizes the attacker must be her twin sister Annie.
Annie must be back in town. That's my twin sister Annie, I bet.
Super Granny then convinces George that Annie is to blame, and she and Danny raid Annie's house. Then some random dude shows up and drops the bombshell that all the previous investigations were tests, and that she is now ready.
She's ready now.
Super Granny 8. After investigating another murder, Super Granny randomly meets up with that random dude from the last movie, and he tells her that everything was a test. After some investigating, George promotes Sam the Lamb to chief, Annie shoots Lanny, kidnaps Adam. Super Granny rescues Adam, and continues investigating.
No money. Must have been a robbery. You have an evidence bag?
Eventually, she meets that random dude again, who tells her that she has to solve the 7 untold mysteries in order to catch Annie.
You must solve the 7 untold mysteries.
Super Granny 9. Next, Annie starts making demands, and Super Granny had enough of that.
What? That's enough of that.
Super Granny discusses Annie's demands with everyone, then nearly catches Annie's sidekick. By the way, Annie had a sidekick. Anyway, Danny catches him. By the way, Danny survived. Super Granny talks to that random dude again, and he says to look at the people closest to her for the answers to the untold mysteries. She then figures out that the people who hold the keys to the mysteries are George, Quincy, Adam, Danny, Sam the Lamb, Jack, and the old chief. Super Granny 10. Super Granny then starts solving the untold mysteries when George leads her to an iPad. She gets the password from Quincy and finds an encrypted file which Adam decodes. Danny then translates the encrypted file into a case number. She then gets that case file from Sam the Lamb and realizes that that case file is from when the old chief was arrested. Sam then demands money, so Super Granny punches that tool bag right in the face. She then meets with the old chief, who tells her how to summon Jack's spirit. She does this, and he reveals that he died because Annie dumped the water in front of his feet that he slipped in. Also, he reveals Annie's location, because he knows that for some reason. Super Granny then captures Annie, and it goes a bit like this.
Super Granny, how'd you find me? Annie, you're under arrest. You'll never catch me. You're going to jail. Fine, but I still want those waffles. And you don't get any waffles. You kill too many people. Fine.
Then Quincy calls and says there's been a murder at 123 Main, and he'll be there to meet them at the scene. Now, this is a big deal because Quincy's never met them at the scene before. Too bad that's the end of the series. Oh, wait a minute. The series. I forgot about that. There's 5 episodes of that we gotta go through now. Super Granny the Series, Episode 1. So a dude gets murdered, and Quincy calls Super Granny to investigate. She arrives at the scene and finds a knife, steals some cash off the dead guy, and makes George check for the fingerprints. That's all. Not a lot happened in that first episode, did it? Super Granny the Series, Episode 2. Super Granny and George continue investigating the knife, and she tells him he's on his last leg there.
I quit. You're on your last leg.
How many do I have?
Another murder happens, and Quincy sends Super Granny to investigate. She brings some evidence to Adam, and she and George examine more evidence. She says she needs a new assistant and discovers the killer's name is Glenn Kligelmeyer. Super Granny the Series, Episode 3. Another guy gets attacked, but he survives. Super Granny arrives and calls an ambulance. Super Granny then goes to the hospital and has the victim describe his attacker. She then has him look at a lineup, and he identifies his attacker. She then says he may have to look at a lineup in person, and he says he'd rather die and shoots himself.
I'd rather do this than do the lineup again.
Wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, George injures himself, and Super Granny doesn't have any sympathy.
I need an adult.
I don't have any sympathy.
Super Granny says she's going to go look at the traffic camera footage on her computer, but she plays solitaire instead. The killer then breaks in and attacks Super Granny, but she wrecks that fool. Super Granny the Series, Episode 4. Super Granny interrogates the killer, who acquires Shady Banks as his lawyer. He then calls his partner and tells him to burn the evidence.
Burn the evidence.
Okay, boss.
Shady Banks arrives and hears about the case. He then says this will be a tough one.
This is gonna be a tough one.
The killer's partner, Timmy, then breaks into the evidence room and starts stealing evidence. Super Granny the Series, Episode 5. Timmy is still stealing evidence when Super Granny returns. He pretends to be a maintenance guy and ends up getting a job offer from her as her new assistant. She promises to hire him as soon as she gets rid of George. Timmy then kills the guy and Super Granny investigates. While investigating, she gets her fingerprints all over the murder weapon and calls Quincy. Shady Banks negotiates a plea deal with Glenn in order to give up Timmy in exchange for 3 meals before the execution. Super Granny arrests Timmy for the murders of 3 people.
Under arrest for the murders of 3 people.
So there you have it. The complete Super Granny history compacted into one video so you can know what's going on in Season 2 without watching several hours of previous content of varying quality. Oh yeah, Season 2 premieres June 4th. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to come back next week for Season 2 of Super Granny the Series. This has been Gordon Freezcan. Thank you, and good night. Unless you're watching in the morning, then good morning. And if you're watching in the afternoon, good afternoon. Regardless, good time of day. Thank you. Deuces.
So long for now.